Pashinyan's visit to Moscow on May 9 Victory Day, amid Armenians balancing foreign policy, has sparked domestic debate. Will it undermine growing ties with the West is the popular question these days. EU membership accession bill versus a visit to Moscow unpopular for the West. Security expert Armine Margarian sits down with the Voice of Yerevan to find a common ground for all. Thank you for accepting the invitation.
Thank you for inviting me.
Armenia-Russia relations hang by a thread as Pashinyan visits Moscow. How did we get here?
Well, I think, first of all, we should emphasize that we are witnessing a deep crisis in Armenia-Russia interstate relations. Something we haven't seen before in the modern history of Armenia. The old logic that used to guide our bilateral ties doesn't function anymore, simply, and no new framework has replaced it yet. How we get here, I think we should divide it into four key stages. First stage became with 2018 Velvet Revolution. While the new government didn't initially signal a change in foreign policy orientation, it was only natural that a government that had come to power on the wave of revolution and stood by for democratic values wouldn't be warmly welcomed by Russia. The second phase revolves around 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh war. And the thing is that before the war, the prevailing assumption in Armenia about Russia was that Russia positioned itself as a security guarantor of Armenia. And this assumption was underpinned in the belief that the two countries shared mutual strategic interests. That is, Russia would either prevent the war or negotiate or facilitate negotiated resolution to the conflict. But the reality was different. We had the war, and a trilateral statement was signed and leading to deployment of the Russian peacekeeping contingent in Nagorno-Karabakh. The third phase, which I would argue is the most tragic phase in Armenia-Russia interstate relations, it is Azerbaijani military offensives against Armenia proper in 2021, May 2021 and September 2022, leading to resulting in occupation of more than 200 square kilometers of Armenia proper. Armenia appealed to Russian CSTO based on alliance commitments, but neither responded in a manner consistent with their commitments. And the fourth phase, it's the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh. In 2023, more than 150,000 Armenians were forced to flee Nagorno-Karabakh while Russian peacekeepers stood by. So this is the whole, short story about how we get here.
From friendship forged over centuries and strategic partnership to a diplomatic bottleneck, Armenia-Russia relations security expert points to why we arrived where we are. What's to follow? What's the exit strategy? The Armenian government aims at a balanced foreign policy, which is a necessity for a small state, developing relations with the EU, trying to balance things out with Russia, with Iran, India. The list is long. Even normalization with Azerbaijan and Turkey is on the table. Only Russia takes offense. Is it fair?
Well, in times of global uncertainty, I think we shouldn't look for fairness in politics, only conflicting and overlapping interests. You are you have rightly mentioned that Armenia is committed to balanced and balancing foreign policy. Just let's look at facts. A couple of weeks ago, we held a joint military exercise with Iran. We are going to have this kind of military exercise with the US. Like they seem to be mutually exclusive, but it is reality, and it reflects Armenia's strategic vision. And I believe that we should be interested in including Russia in this broader strategy, because it will help us to open the room for maneuverability, room for mitigating risks, coming from Russia in short and medium terms.
Lavrov's visit to Yerevan is ahead. Why is Moscow's interest in Yerevan reignited?
Well, I think the interest is mutual. And I think it's our best interest to start shaping, Armenia-Russia partnership, reshaping and restructuring. But I would say that I'm skeptical about how realistic this is now, because Armenia is heading toward 2026 parliamentary elections, and Russia seems to view this period as an opportunity to step in and bring kind of pro-Russian forces back to power. So while renewed interest of Moscow in Armenia, in Yerevan, appear evident, I think the underlying question is to understand what expectations Russia holds, and what kind of instruments Russia is going to utilize in order to fulfill those expectations.
Is there a way to repair damage, to redefine and restart relations?
Well, it's the most...
With a pragmatic grasp of new realities.
Okay, let's try. I think there is no clear-cut answer to this, because when it comes to hybrid tactics, it's an open secret that, Russia's playbook is very extensive, like cyber attacks, economic pressure, political pressure, manipulation, disinformation, etc. And this is why I think that we need the help of our Western partners for democracy. It can include, for example, strengthening our cybersecurity infrastructure, or ensuring media resilience, or safeguarding democratic institutions, etc. But coming back to your question and answering directly to your question, I think we should emphasize that if Armenia manages to navigate all these hybrid threats, then only after that might Russia be willing to, more or less positively and constructively engage in the process of revising, Armenia-Russia interstate relations. But when it comes to Armenia, when I'm stressing that it's in our best interest to reshape the relations, it's very important also to understand whether it is realistic on our side, And I think that it can be realistic, because over the 3 years, Armenia has built new partnerships. We are steadily deepening our relations, collaboration with the EU. We became the strategic partner of the United States of America, along with diversifying our foreign policy and diversifying the sources for military procurement. All of these helps to lay groundwork for gradually diminishing our dependence on Russia. And it's very important to emphasize, because it means that we can change the logic of our relations in the future, which is very much important in order to have kind of relations based on confidence building, based on mutual interest, based on mutual respect.
You enumerated earlier the reasons why Armenia-Russia relations deteriorated.
Does the Armenian side have their share of responsibility in this?
Sure, I think we had. Because, after the developments since 2020 war, like, Azerbaijani offensives, ethnic cleansing, everything that happened during this 4 or 5 period, Armenia realized that relying on one center of power, relying on one strategic partner was a strategic miscalculation. So that was our mistake. So this is why I think that if we want to, pursue balanced and balancing foreign policy, we should also be able to include Russia in this broader strategy, because this is the only way we can shape relationship with Moscow based on mutual trust, as I've mentioned before. So, of course, we had our mistakes. We did our mistakes. And the second mistake I would like to stress is that we perceived strategic partnership as something static. But it is not like this. Strategic partnerships, they are living kind of organisms. So you should work on that. You should revise key points of your strategic partnership in order to see, is there any mismatch, or is there any overlapping, or is there any room for developing them or not? So it is something we haven't done before, and I think that it's a high time, to start this process.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you.
Amid all the gloom and doom, high-level official visits are ahead. Hopefully, they will prove pessimistic diagnosis wrong.